Hey guys, what's up? So we have dealt with introduction to polity, we have dealt with introduction to geography, and all of you wanted me to make an introduction to. We have also dealt with introduction to science and tech, etc. And you all of you wanted economic series. Ayush has already taught a video on economic series, monetary policies, and this is a basic introduction to economics. What are the sources of economics? What are the relative books, newspapers, magazines? Then what are the websites, etc., etc. Then what are the topics to be covered, and what is the basic general approach of how you need to cover economics. So this is presented by me, Roman Saini, and Ayush has helped a lot in the preparation of these slides, and this is Unacademy. And obviously we are trying to impart very high quality accessible education. This quality will be unmatchable. Obviously we will cover each and every aspect as much as we can in exhaustive details. Now if you want to know more, you can read online about this, and please spread the word of this education revolution. We really need your help, and if you have any query or any doubt whatsoever, please comment below the video either on the YouTube or on the Facebook page. This is the URL, facebook.com/romansani.official. Now, general perception, what happens, especially in old Rajendra Nagar, a student comes from Bihar, UP, and he just thinks that, oh my god, economics, ये भी पढ़ना होता है. Economics is literally the toughest nut to crack for majority of the IS aspirants. That's a given, both in UPSC prelims as well as in UPSC mains. What happens is all of you want to search for an all-in-one textbook, key, ultimate solution, Rambaan Ilaj, something we call it in Hindi. That does not exist for economics. Sorry, my friends, that does not exist in economics. Unacademy cannot help you with that. There is huge course, there is vast course, so you obviously need multiple sources. Some feel it is analytical, some feel it is too much technical. There are lots of graphs, maths, equations, numbers. It looks very scary on the surface. But my friends, you don't need to use these graphs, numbers. This is hardcore theory of economics. We usually don't delve into that much detail. Obviously, it is a bit analytical, and I will use analytical tools to explain it in a very lucid way. And finally, you have to emphasize a lot on concepts and current affairs, and very less on actual facts, which scare the people. Now there is a basic concept called as economy versus economics, or economics, how they call it in Delhi University. Anyway, economics is how to manage and most effectively use scarce and finite resources. So for example, on earth, if there were infinite resources, you do not need any economics whatsoever to study. But since we have finite resources, that's why the theory of economics or study of economics is needed at all. Economy, on the other hand, is study of economics of a particular unit. This unit can be a particular state, can be a particular district, can be a particular mohalla also. It can be a country. Usually it is nationwide. For example, Indian economy, US economy, Chinese economy. It can be for a trade union also, or a political economic union also, like EU, European Union, which has the world's highest GDP. Anyway, moving forward, now in economy versus economics, basically what happens is the syllabus says Indian economy. Okay, most of the time it will say Indian economy. Okay, so we don't need to read hardcore economics concept like opportunity cost and marginal utility and diminishing marginal utility. Anyway, why do you need to study economy? Like, why does an Indian bureaucrat or a future bureaucrat needs to study economy? See, study of economy and Indian economy in particular provide people with valuable insight into, first of all, how foreign and domestic markets operate, what are stock exchanges, how does Indian banking works, what is monetary policy, what is fiscal policy. These questions will be thrown at you in newspaper each and every goddamn day, but you need to answer them very well, and only you can answer when you have sound conceptual knowledge, and then only you can read newspaper. Trust me, I have tried before also. You don't get anything at all. Now financial literacy is extremely critical. In India, the literacy rate is roughly 75%, but the financial literacy rate, which I personally feel, is no more than 10%. 90% of the people have absolutely no clue what is inflation, how does India price rise work, what is savings, what is the power of exponential saving. You guys, most of us, we have no clue. So financial literacy is needed absolutely. And then we need to manage, and then planning is very important. When we have scarce resources and we have a developing country, planning takes one of the most paramount spot. That is why UPSC gives a very significant weightage to economics. Rather, paper 3 of mains is more or less economics only, very few portion from science and tech. And in prelims also, I'll just show you how many questions are asked every year. So Why to study economics? Again, there is basically microeconomics. If we know that it deals with the decision making at level of individual entity. Individual entity can be government, it can be household, it can be firms, it can be public financial institution, and etc etc. When we together take into account that how loans are taken from PFI by individual household and how salaries are paid to individual household, etc., then it we deals with the behavior of aggregates, and then it becomes macroeconomics. Okay. Now, Indian economy deals with the economy at the level of India. International economy and organization obviously deals at international level. There are various bodies you need to know, that is World Bank. Now, people don't know that World Bank is not a single body. It is part of two things. Do you know? Okay, you don't know that. Just refresh it your memory. And World Bank group is part of five bodies. Is that understood? So five institutions or five bodies, whatever you want to call. So these are the basic nuances which people are not aware. They think World Bank is a single entity. No, World Bank is composed of two entities, which I'll not disclose now. You have to tell me in the comment section. But anyway, similarly, you need to know about WTO, you need to know about something about UN, etc., etc., and all these things becomes very, very critical. What is TRIPS? And you should know about these things, because both Indian economy and international economy are correlated and they affect each other very, very, very significantly. Anyway, moving forward, these are the economics question in last five prelims. As simple as that. 2011 they asked 18 questions. 2012 there were 13 questions which were asked. Now you can see again 18 questions, then 10 questions, and now again 13 questions. So at least 10% of the paper is always composed of economics question, which is a very, very big deal to say. It's not a very small thing, sir and ma'am. It can make or mar your career, where the cutoff are decided by 1 marks or 2 marks, etc. So you need to focus on economics, and obviously paper 3 of mains is more or less economics plus some portion of science and technology, and even in paper 2 you will find some areas which are covered by economics slightly. So mains is very heavily focused, and even prelims has anywhere between 14 to 18% of the question paper from economy section. Now, CSAT 1 economic syllabus as given in the prospectus, as it is called as economical and social development. That's how it is called in the prospectus of paper 1. There are basically five topics: sustainable development, poverty, inclusion, demographics, and social sector initiatives. So these are the five topics. You don't need to delve that much in details. And main syllabus, basically Indian economy, that is the keyword. Entire syllabus revolves around this keyword. Then we have issues related to planning, then we have related to mobilization of resources, then growth, then development, etc., etc. Then we have employment issues, then inclusive growth and issues arising from it, basically poverty eradication, financial inclusion, policies, programs for inclusive growth like Pradhan Mantri, Jan Dhan Yojana, and all those are basically related to financial inclusion. Government budgeting, what is annual financial statement, how does it come into being. Now it also includes expenditure of government, taxation policies, FRBM Act. Like in my time in 2013 mains, there was a straight question from FRBM Act. Straight question, you can just go and check. Then there were federal finance. What do you mean by federal finance? Federal government is the central government. And what are the recommendation of finance commission? Now there is no planning commission, replaced by Niti Aayog. So all these intricacies and subtleties and nuances you should be able to appreciate. Then major crops and cropping patterns. It is basically nothing to do with economics per se. It is a very, very geography oriented question. But anyway, it is given here, so you need to read it. Irrigation systems and etc. Everything is a storage and transport and marketing. Now marketing is obviously under APMC Act. That's the main focus here. And there are lots of constraints also. This becomes economic portion. Then issues related to direct and indirect farm subsidies, minimum support prices, PDS like public distribution system, objectives, functioning limitations, revamping, then buffer stocks, food security, technology missions. All these are extremely critical, important. Then animal rearing, I don't know why they have introduced it, but it is very, very significant in agriculture. So economics of animal rearing is again important. Now last but not the least, everything related to food processing, because it's a very, very value added stuff which they do. It adds lots of value, so prices go up, plus it is very labor intensive. Okay, you don't need that much machine, but you need a lot of labor, so we can provide huge employment of scale because it is labor intensive. Is that understood? So there is a lot of scope, there is a lot of significance. The location matters, upstream and downstream requirements, supply chain management. All this will be covered when we talk about food processing. Then obviously we need to deal with land reforms in India, whether they have happened or not in certain parts. Like obviously Eastern India still suffers from land reforms adequacy. Effects of liberalization, LPG liberalization, privatization, globalization, industrial policy, infant industry argument, license Raj, quota Raj, and their effects on industrial growth, how it backfired on India. Then infrastructure, key, very important point for India's development in next 50 years. We don't have energy, we don't have ports, we don't have roads, we don't have airports. We have decent amount of railways, by the way. All these four we lack: no energy, no ports, no roads, no airports, as commensurate to the population. Then we need to deal with the investment models also, that there are certain specific models we need to go, like Herod Domar model, etc. So when it comes to approaching economy, so basically it is totally different than most of the other things, because in history there is no current affairs, in geography also there is more or less no current affairs, polity also there are just laws and policies which come and which do not require very analytical bent. It's more or less factual bent of mind, and you just need to connect. But what happens in economies, first of all you need to understand the basic economics, then you need to understand the concepts like GDP, repo rate, reverse repo rate, cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity ratio, which Ayush explained very well in last video, inflation indices, growth, inclusion, development, and so on and so forth. So at this stage, textbooks and class notes and videos will help a lot. Okay, then you need to apply these fundamental concepts, like why do we need to reduce CRR, why do we need to increase it, what happens when we decrease repo rate, what happens when we increase repo rate. So these are application of fundamental concepts. And finally, when you are done with these two steps, then comes the stage 3, that how to associate these concepts with contemporary current issues, like how to read the Hindu. So now you yourself have to apply here what you learned in stage 1 and 2. So this is the critical stage. You have to reach till stage 3 before you are able to actually know. So first you need to learn what is inflation, then you need to know how to control inflation, that's the application, and how, if you decrease repo rate, how inflation will affect. And finally, what Raghuram Rajan sir is doing in RBI, that is the third stage. Then you can understand how he is trying to control inflation. So now moving forward, these are the sources. Okay, so just focus on building conceptual knowledge from these books. NCERT 6 to 12, a blanket at teach. There are some unique chapters which you need to read from 11th and 12th class, especially the first 4 chapters. If you read, you'll get a lot of insights. But 6th to 10th, obviously you need page to page, you need to read social sciences, and 11th and 12th you can read selectively. Either you get Sanjeev Verma, it is much better than, and it's much crispier than Ramesh Singh. So I like Sanjeev Verma more than Ramesh Singh. Then economy section of the Hindu, without fail you need to read. You can watch how to read the Hindu video to know more about it. Then economic survey, please don't read the current economic survey, especially if you are appearing for next year prelims. You should read February. And finally budget 2015 to 2016, not much emphasis, but just go through railway budget, annual financial statement, etc, etc. So these are the major sources, and now these are the major topics to be covered. I'll just go through them. Indian economy, like banking, money supply in India, public finance, Indian taxation structure, insurance, fundamentals of stock markets and stock exchange, economic planning, planning commission versus Niti Aayog, and now progress of Indian economy, especially in last and 60 years since independence. But you need to know how it was in colonial era or pre-colonial era also. Then LPG reforms, demographic dividend, human development, very critical topic these days. Financial market, money markets and capital markets, sectors like primary, secondary and tertiary, agriculture, industry and services respectively. Now you need to see economic theory, especially in context of India, like demand and supply, various indexes, marginal utility, opportunity cost, etc, inflation, business cycle. So these are hardcore economic theory. Then infrastructure, I have told you, airports, ports, railways, roads, etc, information and communication technology, energy, all this is very essential. Then poverty is extremely crucial, especially in India. In USA maybe not so much, but in developing country, very important. Social security, database like Aadhaar, subsidies like fuel subsidy, fertilizer subsidy, etc. Then finally growth and development, what is basic contradiction and what is basic analogy which we can draw between both of them. Then finally, the most important, nothing is complete without sustainable development and climate change in India. especially in UPSC. Everything is related to sustainable development. So you need to know economic implications of climate change very much. Now development versus environment debate, very old debate going for last 20 to 30 years. You need to know that we need to balance out both. There should be harmony between the two. And finally, indicators like HDI, gender inequality index, inequality adjusted HDI, Gini coefficient, etc. etc. Now this was all about Indian economy. Now we need to read also about international economics like external trade, external assistance, international economic organization reports, WTO, World Bank, etc. etc. So current issues include like GST for last 4 years it's going on, Niti Aayog, 14 Finance Commission, labor reforms, land reforms, foreign trade policy. So these current issues will obviously change for next year prelims, but I'm just saying it can be other tax reforms, it can be other commissions, it can be various policies, it can be social security schemes like Atal Pension Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana. So these are the major things, major categories in which you have to put the current affairs. Flagship programs like Swachh Bharat, Make in India, Digital India, committees like Shom Committee, Nachiket More. So these committees, these commissions, these policies, reforms, social security schemes, flagship programs will keep on changing. But these are the major categories and categories will not change. So you need to put your current affairs accordingly. So do spread the word and be a part of this education revolution. If you want me to make the economy introduction part 1.2, where I actually deal with what kind of questions are asked and how to tackle these questions, and furthermore on how to read economy, do let me know and follow me on Unacademy. Do hit thumbs up and do spread the word. And thank you for watching the tutorial. Have an awesome day.